Hi Year 4, I thought I'd do this recording as a bunny ready for Easter, so I'm going to read the rest of chapter 3 now. Enjoy. Sasha arrives, bouncing with excitement for the festival, and we set off hauling the loaded sledge behind us. Before we reach the bottom of the garden, Mousetrap stirs from his sleep around my neck, launches himself into the snow, and scampers off towards the pines. He rarely comes to the village with us, and like Anatoly, he never comes to the festivals. I lift my collar, trying to warm the cold space he's left around my neck. The noise of traders setting up stalls rattles between the trees, and by the time we arrive at the square, musicians are tuning their instruments and smoke is rising from the steel drum barbecues. As we help Mamochka set up her stall, people fill the square until they're packed in tight as bees in a hive. I don't recognise everyone. People have sledged here from distant villages nestled on other edges of the snow forest to come to the festival. Squeals rise from the sledging hill, cheers from the pole climbing contests, and laughter from the stalls selling food and drink. A snowball whizzes past Sasha's head and lands at my feet. I look up to the top of the ice fort where it came from. A mischief of small children are hiding behind the battlements, giggling. Little Vanya pokes his head out. "Look how many snowballs we've made, Yanka." He gestures to a toppling pile and smiles proudly. "Will you be on our team for the siege game? We're defending." Me and Sasha already signed up to attack. I squish the snowball back together and throw it up at him. "So you'd better save these for the game." "Let's go sledging." Sasha punches my arm. I glance over the top of his head to Mamochka. She's serving a customer, but she winks and waves me away. "Go and have some fun." Sasha leads the way across the square, weaving through crowds that part ahead of me. People always move out of my way because I'm so big. They look at me differently too, staring a little longer, smiling a little more stiffly. To Sasha, they just nod a greeting. To me, they say, "Yanka the bear," either whispered in awe or shouting too loudly. Today, it's worse than ever, because the visitors from distant villages haven't seen me since the last festival, and I've grown over a foot in that time. I wonder if as much space would widen around a real bear in the village, and for a moment I want to roar just to see people's reaction. But when Sasha stops to talk to some children from school, I only hang back silently, fiddling with the wolf claw in my pocket. Lilia, one of the girls my age, turns to me and smiles. "I heard you're carrying Winter." I feel a fleeting rush of pride, but it disappears when I notice the sharpness in her eyes and the sting in her smile. "It's strange that they chose you," she continues. "I don't think you've done much for the village this season. You hardly talk to anyone apart from Sasha, and you spend most of your time in the forest. And carrying Winter is a village tradition." Lilia's friend, Oksana, chimes in. "And you weren't born in the village, were you?" "I've lived here nearly all my life," I shrug, pretending not to be bothered by their words, but anger prickles beneath my skin. Why do they have to remind me how different I am anyway, when it's so obvious? They were probably forced to choose you, Yanka. Lilia waves her hand dismissively in my direction. "Winter is massive this year, and they've tied her to a heavy birch pole. No one else would be strong enough to carry her." "That's true," Oksana nods, and they turn away to carry on their conversation they were having before I arrived. "They're just jealous," Polina, another girl from school, mouths behind their backs. I return her smile. Polina is always nice to me, though she's not really a friend. Like Lilia said, I don't spend nearly enough time talking to anyone in the village to make friends. I only grew so close to Sasha because we live next door to each other. It's a relief when Sasha finishes talking and we move away from the others, onto the sledging hill. I pick the strongest, sturdiest looking sledge from the jumble at the bottom and drag it up the steep slope. Sitting at the top, high above the village square, the forest at my back and the great frozen river stretching all the way to the horizon, I take a long, cool breath and my muscles relax. "Race you!" Sasha shouts and shoots off ahead of me. I lean back on the sledge, pull tight on the rope and speed down the hill. For a moment, my whole body lifts into the air and I gasp in a cloud of ice. Then I bump back onto the track, jolting my heart into my throat. I overtake Sasha and skid to a halt in a flurry of snow. I rise to my feet, legs shaking, skin tingling hot and cold, and a huge smile making my cheeks ache.